Part 39. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 393. The situation of the war is changing rapidly. Emperor Hong changed his mind and no longer antagonized Emperor Wuxi, but slapped the ruthless emperor with his palm. His movements were very sudden and without any warning in advance. The power of that palm caused the billions of miles of void in the place it passed to collapse, and chaos surged, submerging everything. If this palm is allowed to fall, with the ruthless emperor's cultivation level below the level of the immortal king, there will be no accidents and he will definitely fall. However, just when this palm was about to reach the ruthless emperor, but an indestructible ancient bell of chaos appeared, blocking the Hong Emperor's palm. When the Hong Emperor's palm collided with the ancient bell of chaos, making a roaring sound that shook the world. The shaking of the ancient bell of chaos actually dissolved all the power of Hongdi's palm, causing it to dissipate into the invisible. I have been guarding against you for a long time. Behind the back, the voice of Emperor Wuxi came, causing Emperor Hong to turn around and respond to Emperor Wuxi's attack. He had no time to think about it and used his hands to attack the ruthless emperor. It turned out that the ruthless emperor had shown his strength just now. After giving out a hint of wanting to be promoted to the quasi-immortal emperor realm, Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Ye Tian were already prepared, always ready for the sneak attacks of Emperor Hong and Emperor Yu. And just as the two of them expected, after discovering the ruthless emperor was expected to reach the immortal emperor realm, Emperor Yu Dihong really had a murderous intention towards the ruthless emperor and took action against him. However, Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Ye Tian were on guard for a long time and did not let him succeed in the sneak attack. Faced with such a thrilling blow, the ruthless emperor still sat firmly in the sky, not even opening his eyes. All of this stemmed from her trust in the Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Ye Tian. She knew that as long as these two as his former comrade in arms is still here, there is no way he will be in any danger. You are forcing me. Yu Emperor roared, as if he had been fired. Now the battle situation, he knew that if it drags on like this, there must be an extremely bad situation waiting for him and Hong Emperor. If he wants to break the deadlock, there is only one possibility. That is to fight to the death, forcibly kill the two great enemies Ye Tian Emperor and Wuxi Emperor. Then deal with the ruthless emperor. Otherwise, if we let it drag on like this, when the ruthless emperor becoming a quasi-immortal emperor is the time for both of them to die. Emperor killing war spear. Kill. Feather Emperor roared, and the breath of the quasi-immortal emperor surged to the top. Endless power followed his body and was poured into the ancient war spear in his hand. In an instant, a majestic force destroyed everything. The breath drowned everything here. It was an indescribable terrifying wave. Just a trace of it overflowing was enough to destroy a world. The emperor-killing war spear, blessed by the infinite power of Emperor Yu, instantly it expanded to an unimaginable level. Next to the ancient war spear, many magnificent visions were displayed. In an instant, it was brilliant, like the creation of the world, and many great worlds emerged. But in the next moment, everything collapsed, and the world collapsed. Mountains and rivers are shattered, stars fall, all things are destroyed, heading towards the end of destruction. The universe is created and collapsed. At this moment, the power of creation and destruction flows, and life and death continue. It is an indescribable scene, and it is the way of Emperor Yu, the ultimate manifestation. There is no doubt that at this moment, he no longer holds back at all, but goes out with all his strength, fully blooming his own way and his own law. Everything is just to kill the enemy quickly and end all this. Boom! Emperor Ye Tian ignored everything and struck out quickly. His unparalleled fist hit Emperor Yu's shoulder hard, causing blood to splatter and the flesh and blood to be blurred. If it were normal, Emperor Yu would definitely avoid this attack. But at this moment, he had no idea of avoiding it, and let Emperor Ye Tian's imperial fist fall down. He didn't care even if he was injured, but held the imperial spear to kill Emperor Ye Tian. Emperor Yu is going to exchange injuries for injuries. This is completely a life-threatening strategy. Desperate. Seeing that Emperor Yu did not dodge his attack and attacked with great speed, Emperor Ye Tian couldn't help but feel a little scared in his heart. After all, the opponent was also an ancient being who had been promoted to the realm of quasi-immortal emperor for countless years. His combat power was indescribable. Test. Now that the opponent is already trying his best, Emperor Ye Tian naturally does not dare to be careless and can only go all out. Clang. With a thought, the nine-colored immortal cauldron shifted its position and stood in front of the emperor-killing spear. It collided with it, causing a big explosion here. That kind of extremely majestic fluctuation destroyed everything in an instant, causing the place to be shrouded in endless chaos. And there is another battlefield. Seeing Emperor Yu fighting for his life, Emperor Hong no longer held back at all, letting his own way fully bloom and going all out to face Emperor Wuxi. Finally, after a long trial, this battle finally reached its most intense moment. The four quasi-immortal emperors took action with all their strength and no longer held back at all. Every move is extremely dangerous. If you are not careful, everything will be lost. Emperor Ye Tian and Emperor Wuxi fought with all their strength, but even so, in the ongoing battle, injuries began to appear on their bodies. Although it was subsequently healed by godless power, it was an astonishing drain. However, the conditions of Hong Emperor and Yu Emperor were not much better. They were completely fighting for their lives by exchanging injuries for injuries. Although Emperor Ye Tian and Emperor Wuxi felt pressured, they themselves were also constantly injured. The winding traces of blood continued to flow down from the majestic body, which was shocking. But what made Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong feel a little sad was that even in the face of such crazy attacks by the two of them, Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Ye Tian always stood firm and resisted their attacks. Stop the battle. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, this war had lasted for nearly 10,000 years. And at a certain moment, a majestic aura that was so majestic and unimaginable rose from the ultimate ancient land into the sky and went straight into the sky. That is the aura that belongs exclusively to the quasi-immortal emperor. It is the fifth breath of the quasi-immortal emperor besides Yudi Hongdi and Wuxi Emperor Ye Tiandi. After sensing this aura, the eyes of Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Ye Tian couldn't help but light up. Then he couldn't help but look away. Where their eyes converge, the ruthless emperor has slowly opened his eyes. She stands high in the sky, her white clothes fluttering, and she is extremely graceful. The majestic aura continued to emanate from her body. Quasi-immortal emperor. Quasi-immortal emperor. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation, the ruthless emperor finally broke through the natural chasm and successfully advanced to the quasi-immortal emperor realm. Please subscribe. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 394. The heaven and earth roared, and everything trembled. In the ultimate ancient land, the light of chaos dances, and the light of flying immortals is dense. The ruthless emperor is independent in the sky, his white clothes are as white as snow, his clothes are floating, his black hair is dancing, his appearance is peerless, and his elegance is peerless. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation, she finally succeeded in breaking through the natural barrier, breaking through the king and ascending to the level of a quasi-immortal emperor. Quasi-immortal emperor. This is an unimaginable situation, although it is still extremely far away from the real immortal emperor. But being able to get a quasi-character, its strength and realm are far beyond the reach of the beings in the immortal king realm. At this moment, the ruthless emperor felt that he had been unparalleled in both body and soul. Compared with before, it is simply incomparable. Oops. Or was she able to break through successfully? The expressions of Hong Emperor and Yu Emperor were extremely solemn and ugly. None of them thought that the situation would eventually develop to such an unfavorable point for them. This human woman is really too evil. It has only been less than 10,000 years since he entered the ultimate ancient land, and he has already reached the quasi-immortal emperor realm. Such talent are simply unimaginable. There are hundreds of millions of creatures in the world, and those who can break into the quasi-immortal emperor realm are all the true rulers of this world. At this level, what kind of grudges can there be? It is nothing more than seeking the Tao towards a higher realm. Wherever the Tao leads, everything can be thrown away. What's the point of facing each other in life and death? You Emperor stood on the ancient chariot and said in a long voice. After seeing the ruthless Emperor break into the quasi-immortal Emperor realm, he changed his mind. He no longer wanted to fight with Emperor Yetian and others, but wanted to turn the fight into friendship. End this meaningless war. Yes, at our level, there is no need to have any grudges. If we fight to the death, we will only let others see the joke. Hongdi also said. They are all ancient beings who have spent an incomparably long time. Fighting in vain is not in their interests at all. Now that the ruthless emperor has advanced to the quasi-immortal emperor realm, the balance of the battle has changed. If they continue to fight, an unknown ending is most likely waiting for them. As ancient beings who have been promoted to this realm for endless years, Hong Emperor and Yu Emperor naturally do not allow this to happen, and do not want this to happen. Seeking peace? How can it be? You have now been infected and corrupted by darkness, and there is no room for you in all the heavens and worlds. Emperor Yetian sneered. Even without the existence of the ruthless emperor, he and Emperor Wuxi would never give up with the Hong Emperor Yu Emperor. All because the other party was contaminated with the aura of darkness, and in the lower world, the aura of darkness in the ultimate dark land is the same. Moreover, over the years when they came to the immortal realm from the lower world, Emperor Yetian and Emperor Wuxi even knew many secrets related to that darkness. They naturally knew that it would lead to this world. The root cause of their current situation lies in the contamination of the power of darkness. Now Hong Emperor and Yu Emperor are contaminated with the aura of darkness, and they have naturally become enemies of the world. In this way, Emperor Yetian and Wu, how could the first emperor let them off so easily? The two parties were always enemies. Dark. He he, ha ha. Hongdi laughed. What is darkness? Among the worlds, the power is supreme. Only power is eternal. There is no difference between Tao, and there is no distinction between good and evil. How could you not know such a simple truth? Yes, the so-called darkness is just the idle moaning of the world. The so-called darkness is just used to deceive the world. How can we stick to the so-called darkness and light, good and evil? You sneered. You were once the creatures nurtured and born in this world. I don't believe you don't know the consequences of the spread of dark power. He has abandoned his identity as a living being in this world and devoted himself to darkness, which is naturally not tolerated by this world. Yetiandi said calmly. Dark? What a joke. Emperor Yu shook his head and said. When we reach this level, do we still need to care about the life and death of some mere ants? Besides, don't you know that between heaven and earth, among all the universe, the highest position is inherently limited? The multiplication of creatures seems to be prosperous, but in fact it is a real disaster. Every human being is born in one life, which only lasts for 100 years, and then he will enter reincarnation again, and he will never be able to escape. But where they are, they will occupy the resources of this world. How terrifying are the resources occupied by billions of countless creatures. Since we are trapped in reincarnation forever and cannot escape, why not give up this precious opportunity for transcendence? Therefore, the greatest darkness in all the heavens and worlds is that these mortal beings have occupied our opportunity to transcend in vain. This is the greatest evil. What we do is just to take back what belongs to us. How can we talk about darkness? Even you, despite all obstacles, will surely follow the same path as us in the future. Emperor Yu's voice was cold, revealing this most cruel scene in all the worlds. Between heaven and earth, resources are limited. And with limited resources, the position of a strong man that can be achieved is naturally limited. And because all spirits multiply and thrive, they naturally occupy most of the resources in the world. In this way, the number of strong people that can be born becomes increasingly rare. It is equivalent to countless living beings gathering together to occupy the truly powerful place. The position of the Supreme Master. If a strong person who has reached the end of his cultivation path wants to go further, he can only destroy all spirits and take back the resources that can achieve the supreme position from all spirits. Only in this way can he break through the barriers and achieve a higher realm. Otherwise, there will be no hope for a higher realm in your life. This is the main reason why there are countless tribulations in this endless sea of multiverses. The death of all souls, although cruel, but it is where the opportunities lie. If all spirits continue to thrive and multiply, it will be equivalent to cutting off the way forward for all strong people. I am afraid that no strong person can accept this result easily. This is a cruel decision. But in the eyes of Emperor Yu and Hongdi, this is just taking back what belongs to them. What is darkness? It is just the essence of power. Among the 3,000 avenues, there is also the existence of the path of darkness, and there is no distinction between good and evil among the various ways. Therefore, even if you throw yourself into the so-called darkness, in the eyes of Hong Emperor Yu Emperor, it is nothing at all. Please subscribe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 395. It's just that I don't have enough talent. If I want to advance to a higher level, I can only throw myself into the darkness and find some excuse. Yetiandi said coldly. Although Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong had been promoted to the quasi-immortal emperor realm countless years ago, for them, the quasi-immortal emperor realm is already the limit. In order to continue to break through and achieve Deluo as the immortal emperor, they were willing to throw themselves into the darkness and feed themselves with the power of darkness, hoping that in the future they could cross the chasm and realize Deluo. As for what they just said, in Emperor Yetiandi's opinion, it's just an excuse for myself. If the Tao is not righteous, how can we talk about transcendence? The strong will only use their own strength to solve what they want, and rely on other people's methods. The final result is just to make a wedding dress for others. The ruthless emperor shook his head, with a flash of pity in his eyes. The Yu Emperor and the Hong Emperor threw themselves into the darkness. Although they received a lot of power feedback, they didn't know that they had no hope of breaking through the Deluo realm. Because all the heavens and worlds have long been locked by the will of the Hunyuan being, and until the immortal realm and the dark realm are merged, and the darkness in this world is eradicated, it will never be able to break through to a higher realm. Moreover, when the existence of Hunyuan comes, all the heavens and worlds, as well as the living creatures within them, will all perish and become the nourishment for their resurrection. How can Emperor Hong and Emperor Yu be transcended? I'm afraid they will become the Hunyuan. When it comes, it will be the day they die. It's just that they don't want to admit it. Different road non-phase plan. The great Emperor Wuxi said calmly, and then without wanting to say more, in the chaos above his head, he killed towards Emperor Hong again. Kill. Hongdi Yudi, seeing that there was no way to persuade Yetiandi and the others, he also cut off the last thought in his heart, and there was a fierce meaning in his eyes. They knew that this battle was unavoidable. The final result, among the two parties, only one party can survive. Choose the weak one first. Feather Emperor roared angrily, his wings of light stretched out behind him, and he crossed millions of miles in an instant, heading towards the ruthless emperor. Emperor Hong followed closely behind, standing on the ancient Taoist platform, offering sacrifices to all the ways of heaven and earth, and marching towards ruthless emperor together. The human emperor is coming. They know that the only chance to win this battle is to defeat this woman first. After all, the ruthless emperor has just been promoted to the quasi-immortal emperor realm, and his background is far from comparable to them. Among the three, it is the best target. As long as this woman is killed first, and only Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Yetian are left, the balance of combat power between the two sides will return to the past again. Cu Emperor and Hong Emperor attacked the ruthless man together. When the great emperor arrived, Emperor Yetian and Emperor Wuxi would not sit back and watch. They were about to go to help the emperor, but they were stopped by the emperor. "You guys help me raid the formation, and I'll fight them first." The ruthless emperor looked at the two Hong emperors and Yu emperors who were coming to kill her, and said in a cold voice, "Among all the heavens and worlds, the number of quasi-immortal emperors is really limited. There may be only one chance of fighting against the quasi-immortal emperors. This time, for the ruthless emperor, fighting against two quasi-immortal emperors contains boundless dangers, but at the same time, it is also a rare opportunity. The longer she fights against Hong Emperor Yu, the more her strength and realm will increase. The faster you will improve. When you reach the realm of quasi-immortal emperor, it is undoubtedly as difficult as reaching the sky to become the great Luo immortal emperor through hard work. But being able to fight against two quasi-immortal emperors and hone your skills is undoubtedly an extremely precious opportunity." Both Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Yetian had great trust in the ruthless emperor. Therefore, after being rejected, the two of them really stood aside and did not take a step forward. Arrogant. When Emperor Yu and Hongdi saw this, a trace of anger could not help but appear in his eyes. Such behavior was simply a naked disregard for the two of them. "If that's the case, then I'll kill you first." Yu Emperor roared angrily, raising the emperor-killing war spear high in his hand, blessing his own way. The spear tip flashed with the luster of destroying everything, breaking through hundreds of millions of miles of void, carrying an unparalleled killing aura. Towards the ruthless emperor is coming. Facing the fierce Emperor Yu, the ruthless emperor's eyes are sharp and his black hair is dancing. She slowly stretches out a jade white palm, and without giving in, towards the flying emperor killer. Press the war spear. Boom. Unparalleled majestic fluctuations emerged, and the jade palm of the ruthless emperor flowed crystal clear. In an instant, a dazzling and flawless immortal embryo emerged from the palm of the ruthless emperor. The fairy fetus was flowing crystal clear, the fairy light was bright, and the most powerful aura was filled with it, making Emperor Yu couldn't help but change his color slightly. Immortal transformation technique. The ruthless emperor lightly scolded, and then, the fairy fetus turned into her body, carrying a terrifying aura that suppressed everything and destroyed the infinite, and faced the emperor-killing war spear in the hand of Emperor Yu. Then, she raised another weapon again with one palm. He pushed flatly in the direction of Hongdi's attack. As the jade palm pushed, the heaven and earth roared endlessly, and countless crystal petals fell from the sky. In each crystal petal, there was an extremely powerful person. The breath is flowing densely, as if millions of fairy swords fall from the sky at the same time, killing Hongdi together. Each of the crystal petals, like fairy swords, contains the true meaning of "I am invincible." This is astonishingly like the magic of transforming into immortals. Is the supreme method created by the great emperor in the past. With the thought, flowers bloom and he rules the world. But now, as the quasi-immortal emperor of the great emperor, he is once again using these two supreme methods, and their power is natural. Far better than before. Any one of these methods, not to mention the ancient emperor of Jidao, I am afraid that the entire lower realm universe will be destroyed and cease to exist. At this moment, the ruthless emperor used two supreme methods at the same time to fight against the two gods. Quasi-immortal emperor. Boom. When Emperor Yudi Hongdi's attack collided with the two supreme methods of the ruthless emperor, a roaring sound like the explosion of all realms suddenly erupted. If this scene were seen by King Xian and others, they would probably be stunned and shocked to the point of being overwhelmed. How long has it been? It was only tens of thousands of years before the ruthless emperor crossed the boundary sea. Even counting from the time when the ruthless emperor arrived in the fairy land from the lower world, the time was extremely short. Just tens of thousands of years have passed, and today's ruthless emperor has suddenly become a quasi-immortal emperor from the extreme body of the past, and he is facing two quasi-immortal emperors at the same time. Such a huge span is simply unbelievable, even unimaginable. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 396. Boom. The unparalleled roaring sound shook all directions, making the entire ultimate ancient land roar. Even the boundless sea was filled with huge waves. All the creatures within the realm sea are fleeing in fear, wanting to stay away from the ultimate ancient land. Because there, they felt the aura that made their souls tremble. Even King Xianmo and others who were far behind the dam realm couldn't help but cast their sights into the depths of the realm sea. Although their strength is far from enough to know what is happening in the depths of the boundary sea. But what can be imagined is that it must have been an extremely brutal fight. Boom. The roaring sound dispersed, although the sky above the ultimate ancient land was still shrouded in the boundless frenzy of chaos. However, Emperor Yetian and Emperor Wuxi have both reached the level of quasi-immortal emperors. Naturally, we can break through all the fog and gain insight into the outcome of this confrontation between the two sides. Facing the two powerful men in the quasi-immortal emperor realm, the ruthless emperor did not retreat at all, and used two supreme methods in succession to attack Yu Emperor and Hong Emperor. And the final result was extremely brilliant. Facing the joint attack of Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong, the ruthless emperor actually had no intention of defeat. Instead, he made an understatement and caught the joint attack of the two quasi-immortal emperors. He had such combat power when he first entered the quasi-immortal emperor realm. Emperor Yetian sighed. With such talent, he is worthy of being a ruthless emperor. Even Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Yetian could not help but admire him. Not to mention Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong. They were determined to kill ruthlessly. The people came with the heart of the great emperor, so they naturally did not hold back at all when they took action. Instead, they poured out all their strength and used all their strength. But the final result shocked them extremely. The two of them joined forces to attack. He never caused any harm to the human woman, but was accepted by her in an understatement. This is impossible. Unbelievable. Both Yu Emperor and Hong Emperor were shocked. How can this be? The human woman in front of her could only break through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm in such a short period of time. When you first entered the quasi-immortal emperor realm, you were not afraid of the joint attack between him and Hong did. You know, they watched this human woman advance to the quasi-immortal emperor realm with their own eyes. How long has it been? Not even a moment. Throughout the ages, they have never heard of such a thing. After all, even Hong Emperor and Yu Emperor were able to possess their current combat power only after they had been promoted to the quasi-immortal emperor realm for endless years and received the help of the power of darkness. But the human woman in front of her has such combat power after entering this realm for the first time. It's unbelievable, even unimaginable. Is this the combat power of the quasi-immortal emperor? The ruthless emperor frowned slightly, looking at his hands with a hint of disbelief. In fact, even she herself felt a little incredible about her fighting power at the moment. When she first entered the quasi-immortal emperor realm, she knew that her combat power had been greatly improved. But because of the lack of a reference target, he didn't know what level his current combat power could be. Only after fighting against Hong Emperor and Yu Emperor did she know that her combat power at this moment had reached such an astonishing level. It should be thanks to the mysterious power when he entered the Immortal King realm before. The ruthless emperor thought about it and easily found the reason why he had such majestic combat power. It was precisely because of the mysterious power given by heaven and earth when he entered the immortal king realm in the past. That is, in the past, the sliver of power of Delugo that Chenmu gave to the ruthless emperor carries the true charm of Delugo. If you don't enter Delugo, you will eventually become an ant. Even if it is just a trace of Delugo's power, it is far beyond what a being in the quasi-immortal emperor realm can comparable. Because of this, as the realm of the ruthless emperor continues to improve, the power of Delugo gradually melts into her body, and subtly, it can increase her combat power to an unimaginable level. Situation. This is exactly why she was able to fight against Hong Emperor Yu Emperor when she first entered the quasi-immortal emperor realm, but she did not fall behind. Come again. After this fight, the ruthless emperor had confidence in his heart and shouted softly again. At this moment, she turned from passive to active, took the initiative to attack, and killed Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong. Kill. Seeing that the ruthless emperor actually took the initiative to attack them and came towards them, Emperor Hong and Emperor Yu were so aggrieved and angry that they did not care about anything else and could only fight. However, until now, they cannot imagine and cannot do how the human woman in front of you could be the enemy of the two of them when she first entered the realm of the quasi-immortal emperor. The war between the quasi-immortal emperors resumed, causing the ultimate ancient place to fall into a chaotic frenzy. But it's just that this time, the attack and defense changed, and the ruthless emperor turned from offense to defense, fighting Yudi Hongdi alone. Although he knew his fighting power at this moment, the ruthless emperor still was not careless, had no reservations, and showed all kinds of wonderful skills. She lifting his jade feet lightly, he stopped in the realm of eternal time. In an instant, he walked in front of Emperor Yu and slapped him away with one palm. Then he overlapped his palms and built a great vase with infinite power in the square inch of his palm. Then his two hands raising his palm slightly, the Dao treasure vase faced the direction of Hong Emperor. Infinite Dao runes, like the Milky Way and the Milky Way, spewed out from the mouth of the Dao treasure vase in the hands of the ruthless emperor. It turned into a world-destroying torrent, almost destroying Hong Emperor. Submerged. This was an evenly matched battle. In the end, after 3 full years of fighting between the two sides, the ruthless emperor finally lifted his feet lightly and escaped from the battlefield. Her beautiful eyes turned slightly, looking at Emperor Ye Tian and Wu, the two first emperors. Let's work together to end this battle. The ruthless emperor said softly. These 3 years of fighting have made her sharpen her skills a lot. Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong can no longer play the role of whetstones. Therefore, it is meaningless to continue fighting. It's time to work together to end this war. After all, there are still many things waiting for them to do. Okay, let's take action together to end this battle. Emperor Ye Tian smiled with emotion. Then he no longer hesitated and took action together with Emperor Wuxi and Ruthless Emperor to fight Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong. After endless years apart, the 3 emperors of the lower world finally joined forces again to fight against the enemies of the heavens. Please subscribe. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 397. How many years? Even Emperor Ye Tian couldn't help but sigh. Since leaving the lower world, he has never fought with the ruthless emperor again. Of the trio in the lower realm, only he and Emperor Wuxi were left to enter the immortal realm. Now, after millions of years, the trio from the lower realm have finally reunited to fight together. Moreover, all 3 of them have reached the quasi-immortal emperor realm. It is the most top existence among all the heavens and worlds. Even looking at the world, if one knew about the past existence of Emperor Ye Tian, Emperor Wuxi, and Emperor Ruthless, they would definitely be in an unparalleled shock. The 3 people started from the beginning and became enlightened one after another. And 1 million years later, they will successively achieve the quasi-immortal emperor realm. All three of them are quasi-immortal emperors. This is undoubtedly a matter of ancient times and the present. Throughout the ages, even if we read the entire ancient history, it has never appeared before. When Emperor Ye Tian and Emperor Wu Shi joined the battle, the balance of the battlefield changed instantly. Previously, Emperor Ye Tian and Emperor Wu Shi had joined forces to fight against Emperor Yu Hong. But now, the ruthless emperor alone can fight against the two of them without losing. Now the three of them have joined forces, and their combat power has naturally doubled. After just a moment of fighting, Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong felt tremendous pressure. Ah! Yu Emperor roared, but when he was confronting the ruthless emperor, he was hit from behind by Emperor Ye Tian, tearing one of the divine wings alive and causing blood to flow. Emperor Hong's condition at the moment was not much better. Wu the first emperor faced him, and the ruthless emperor attacked him from time to time, which overwhelmed him and soon his body was covered with scars. After cultivating for endless years, waiting for endless years, burying one great life after another with my own hands, and witnessing the entire ancient history of the heavens, will we finally have such an ending? I'm not willing to give in. Yu Emperor roared, with a hint of desolation in his voice. He and Hong Emperor are both the oldest existences in the world. They have survived since the end of history. Until now. But, will all the efforts and everything we have experienced be in vain today? Emperor Yu is not willing to give in, and Emperor Hong is not willing to give in either. They fight desperately, using all their strength, trying to find a way out. But the result is that they are extremely desperate. The three emperors join forces and are invulnerable. No matter they want to concentrate their combat power, or even trade injuries for injuries, and kill one of them, they will be perfectly supported by the other two and offset drop all attacks. As time goes by, the scars on the two people's bodies become more and more. Their auras become weaker and weaker. Use my body as a blood sacrifice to heaven, earth, and all things. Hongdi roared. In desperation, he finally used his last trump card. He sacrificed blood to all things in the world, and even sacrificed himself at the expense of blood, hoping to kill his opponent. From ancient times to the present, I am the only one who is supreme. Seeing Hong Emperor fighting for his life, Yu Emperor no longer held back. The blazing transparent flames burned from his body. In an instant, Yu Emperor's aura climbed up several levels. The scars all over his body appeared in an instant. Healed. However, among his long black hair, a strand of white hair suddenly appeared. This is a forbidden method that uses one's own soul and life as the fire. Once it is used, it is difficult to stop. That's it. In the end, the soul and life will be severely damaged, and there will be no hope for a higher level for life. There is even a danger of falling from the quasi-immortal emperor realm. But at this critical moment of life and death, Emperor Yu couldn't care less. He knew clearly. If he cannot kill the three enemies in front of him, the only way to go is death. In comparison, no matter how great the sacrifice is, as long as he survives, he still has a chance. Yu Dehong the emperor fought tooth and nail and no longer had any reservations. For a time, his momentum surged and he slightly recovered the previous disadvantage, tilting the balance of the battle to their side again. However, the final result made the two of them despair. The cruel emperor Emperor Ye Tian, Emperor Wu Shi, and the others fought steadily, not giving Emperor Yu and Hong Emperor even a chance. The three people's cooperation was almost flawless, and they perfectly withstood the wave after wave of attacks from Emperor Yu and Emperor Hong. As time went by, the aura of Yu Di Hongdi also began to drop from its peak and gradually declined. After all, the power of burning life and soul cannot last long. If the opponent cannot be killed in a short time, the outcome can be imagined. We all know what happened. Finally, after a lot of fighting, Yu Dihongdi still failed to defeat his opponent. On the contrary, his soul and life force were almost burned out. At this moment, Yudi's aura had declined to the extreme, and his head was black. His hair has long since turned pale, his face is covered with wrinkles, and his life force is almost dry. Finally failed. Yu Emperor smiled miserably and stopped the unnecessary fighting. No need for you to take action, I will go on my own. Having said that, the raging soul fire rose up from Emperor Yu's body again, and it only took a moment to burn his body clean. At the final moment, he still retained the majesty of the quasi-immortal emperor. I would rather go on my own than die at the hands of others. That's all. After struggling for eternity, it finally ended like this. Hongdi also stopped, his face was gloomy. I will find a place and go on my own. After that, he no longer looked at the three heavenly emperors, but turned around and left. Facing the departing Hong Emperor, the ruthless emperor and others did not stop him. Because at this moment, the Hong Emperor had already combined his soul and the power of life. After burning out, it is impossible to survive. He is still alive now only by relying on the Dao fruit of a quasi-immortal emperor. When the soul flame is extinguished, he will naturally go on the road like Yu Emperor. After Hong Emperor leaves, the ancient land has finally returned to its former peace. However, in the ultimate ancient land at this moment, there are no longer any figures of Yu Emperor and Hong Emperor. These two famous figures are famous throughout the ages and are hidden in the dark behind the curtains of the heavens. Finally, he was completely cut off under the hands of the three heavenly emperors. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 398. It is finally over. Emperor Yetian looked at the direction where Emperor Hong was leaving, and his eyes couldn't help but feel a little sad. He and Emperor Wuxi had been confronting these two great emperors for endless years, and now that the powerful enemy has come to an end, he naturally felt a little different in his heart. Apart from these two quasi-immortal emperors, are there other dark existences here? Asked the ruthless emperor. Of course there is. Yetiandi whispered softly, and then revealed a piece of news that could shock the entire immortal realm. The Dark Immortal Emperor is hidden in the depths of this ultimate ancient land. The Dark Immortal Emperor, isn't he still dead? The ruthless emperor couldn't help but clenched his fists slightly, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. She clearly remembered that in the historical scrolls she had seen before, the Dark Immortal Emperor was killed by Huang. The end temporarily relieved the darkness in this world. But why did Emperor Yetian say that the Dark Immortal Emperor was not dead? After reaching the Deluo realm, it is not that simple to fall. Yetian sighed. In the past, when Emperor Huangtian fought with the Dark Immortal Emperor, they fought hard, but they were only able to advance to the realm of Immortal Emperor at the last moment, and then they were able to suppress the Dark Immortal Emperor and finally kill him. However, the Deluo Immortal Emperor exists, and the Tao it proves has already penetrated all the worlds. If the Tao exists, and the concepts related to it still exist, people will not perish. Moreover, the Dark Immortal Emperor was infected by the Tao of a Hunyuan existence. If the darkness that is now rooted in all worlds does not go away, it will be even more difficult for the Dark Immortal Emperor to die completely. Now that endless years have passed, between heaven and earth, the Tao and concepts belonging to the Dark Immortal Emperor have all gathered here, hoping to resurrect the Dark Immortal Emperor. Then go and destroy his hope of resurrection. The ruthless emperor said softly. There was no trace of shock in his eyes. Instead, he was full of confidence that I am invincible. Haha, don't worry about him. Yetiandi laughed and said. The Dark Immortal Emperor has not yet resurrected, but his concepts and principles are gradually gathering here. It will take a long time to be reborn and come back. Moreover, as long as we cut off the power of darkness in all the heavens and worlds, without the support of the Hunyuan Dao, the return date of the Dark Immortal Emperor will naturally be far away. In this way, his threat is naturally nothing to worry about. I see. The ruthless emperor nodded lightly and said. In this case, the two fellow Taoists should follow me and return as soon as possible. The battle between the immortal realm and the dark realm can no longer be delayed for too long. We must level the realm of darkness in the shortest possible time, gather together all the ways, unite with the fairy realm, and break the upper limit of strength that is locked in all the heavens and realms. Strive to accumulate more strength before the immeasurable calamity arrives? Naturally so. Good. Emperor Wu Shi and Emperor Ye Tian will naturally not object to the proposal of the ruthless emperor. Their purpose of coming to this ultimate ancient land is to clear away the darkness here. Now that Emperor Yu and Hong Emperor have fallen, the darkness has been cleared away. The two of them naturally have to leave here. And the realm of darkness is a cancer condensed by the remaining dark power in all the worlds. No matter what the purpose is, Emperor Ye Tian and Emperor Wu Shi he will not sit back and watch. Now that the darkness of this ultimate ancient land has been wiped out, it will naturally be the turn of the dark realm next. After making up his mind, Emperor Wu Shi and Emperor Ye Tian turned around with the ruthless emperor leaving this ultimate ancient land, crossing the boundless sea of all realms, heading towards the other side of the Dam realm. During the time when the three emperors came across the sea and headed towards the Dike realm. The Dike boundary is not peaceful either. Although the final battle in darkness ended, the process was not smooth sailing. It was not until the ruthless emperor became the quasi-immortal emperor that the victory was truly established. And this war took a long time, tens of thousands of years. For those in the quasi-immortal emperor realm, tens of thousands of years are just a blink of an eye. But for the entire immortal realm, this time seems extremely long. At the embankment boundary, many immortal kings, including ancient King Xian, were cultivating under the guidance of the soul of the immortal emperor in the black rotten wooden box. Tens of thousands of years of cultivation, coupled with the guidance of the immortal emperor's soul in the black rotten wooden box. The strength of all the immortal kings in the immortal realm has improved by leaps and bounds. Among them, people like the ancient king are giants in the immortal king realm. He was even more vaguely aware that he had touched that layer of barrier, that layer of natural chasm that lay over the heads of all the creatures in the world. During these tens of thousands of years, in addition to cultivation, the immortal kings also paid attention to another thing. That is the battle situation at the border between the two realms. Ever since the immortal kings discussed together tens of thousands of years ago and made up their minds, the two realms' gates that had been silent for a long time have once again seen the mighty armies of the two realms confront each other beside the two realms' heavenly gates, and the smell of gunpowder has become even stronger. Although under the constraints of the immortal kings and the barriers of the two realms, a war between the two realms will not break out now. But small-scale battles and killings are unavoidable. In the army of the Dark Territory, strong men would step forward every day to call for battle and challenge the strong men of the immortal territory. At this time, naturally we cannot retreat, we can only fight. Otherwise, it will cause a huge blow to the morale of the fairy land side. As for the Dark Territory side, due to years of hard work, there are endless strong men in the world. More importantly, these strong men have experienced the baptism of real combat power. Far from being the immortal territory side, they only know how to immerse themselves in hard work. It can be compared with the strong ones. Therefore, at the beginning of the battle, the fairy land side rarely won. However, under the orders of the immortal kings, those strong men who went out to fight, knowing that they were outmatched, did not continue to fight. Instead, they withdrew from the battlefield in time to preserve their vitality. Such a constant fight, a constant battle. The strong men in the immortal realm have improved both in terms of combat power and realm. What makes all the immortal kings even more happy is that, during this process, 4 real geniuses emerged. They seemed to come from the lower realm just like the ruthless emperor. When he first arrived at the gate of the two realms, he was only at the first level of true immortality. However, his talent and combat power are terrifyingly strong. Facing opponents in the Dark Realm, he is almost overwhelming. It greatly boosted the morale of the fairyland side. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 399. These four people are none other than Yun Ruoxi, Empress Xiang, Ye Lingxiu, Gzi and others who came from the lower realm after the ruthless emperor. After arriving in the immortal realm, the four of them originally wanted to explore the immortal realm, and then seek their own way to explore towards a higher immortal king realm. But who knew that not long after they arrived in the immortal realm? In the immortal realm, there was a huge wave of chaos. This turbulent wave was due to the decision of many immortal kings, which caused many powerful men and geniuses in the immortal realm to go to the two realms to fight in turn. The will of all the immortal kings is the highest will in this immortal realm. Therefore, not long after the orders of the immortal kings were issued, all forces in the immortal domain began to move. Adhering to the will of the immortal kings, they sent many powerful people and geniuses to the border between the two realms. Such a big movement naturally cannot be hidden from Yun Ruoxi, Ye Lingxiu and others. After some discussion, the four of them made a resolute decision not to explore in the immortal realm anymore, but to switch to the two realms, representing the immortal realm side, to fight against the creatures in the dark realm. The four people came from the lower world and had already been exposed to concepts related to darkness. Nature knows what the so-called darkness means. But this will not make them retreat, but will only arouse the four people's boundless fighting spirit. There is nothing wrong with going to the border between the two realms. After coming to the fairyland, I was worried that there would be no enemies to sharpen myself, but now there is no need to worry anymore. Ye Lingxiu said this. The four people in the lower realm all rose up when the human race was in turmoil. Their imperial path was fought in a bloody way. They fought countless battles along the way. After being promoted to the realm of the great emperor, they even swept the supreme beings from all directions and leveled the universe. Give all souls peace and peace. But now that I have come to the immortal realm, most of the things I have come into contact with are signs of long-lasting peace. Although the immortal realm is extremely vast, the intensity of the battle is not even as high as the lower realm. For this is undoubtedly very disadvantageous for the strong men who are truly expected to reach the highest position. The real strong men are all born from the bloody fighting. There has never been any strong man who can be promoted to the highest level just by practicing. Strong realm. And now, both the immortal realm and the dark realm are stationed at the two realms. Perhaps for ordinary immortal realm creatures, this is a frightening thing. But for Gzi and others, this is a rare opportunity. There must be countless strong people at the border between the two realms, which is a perfect opportunity for them to hone themselves. And after making the decision, Gzi and others did not hesitate, turned around and rushing to the location of the two realms pass at once. Before Gzi, Ye Lingxiu and others arrived, the combat power of the two realms pass in the immortal domain was undoubtedly at a disadvantage compared to the dark domain. No matter in terms of the number of strong men, or quality, is the same. Therefore, in the early small-scale battles, the fairyland side always loses less and wins more. Although there are two natural chasms, the dark realm cannot take the opportunity to attack. But against the fairyland side, generally speaking, this will definitely affect morale. After losing again and again, even the proudest person who is confident in himself can't help but doubt himself, and even bury the fear of the dark realm in his heart. If this is the case, that is equivalent to planting inner demons in the heart, which will be difficult to remove in the future. It has to be said that what the immortal kings in the immortal realm did was definitely a dangerous move. It caused many strong men in the immortal realm to fight against the geniuses in the two realms. It is indeed possible to increase the combat power of the fairyland side. But if you are not careful, it will have the opposite effect. Not only will it not improve the combat power, but it will destroy the confidence of many geniuses and strong men on the fairyland side, causing them to lose their confidence in the next step. They were timid when facing the creatures in the Dark Realm. However, just when the situation was very delicate, the arrival of Jitsi and others broke the deadlock. The four of them came from the lower world and experienced countless scenes. Fighting. Several of them were secretly trained by Qin and gave many powerful inheritances. Therefore, when facing those strong men in the Dark Realm, Gzi, Yelingxiu and others did not look down upon them at all. Fighting at the same level, it was like destroying all the opponents in the Dark Realm. Even the opponents who were 1 or 2 steps higher than them could always defeat them after a fierce fight. In this way, it was naturally very powerful. It greatly boosted the morale of the Immortal Territory side. It reversed the previous low morale situation of the Immortal Territory side. Yeling, Suiyun, Ruoxi, Gzi, Empress Xiang, and the 4 others also faintly became the gateway between the 2 realms. Among the strong men of the Immortal Territory side, the backbone of. Thanks to these 4 little guys from the lower realm, otherwise, this round of fighting against the 2 realms would have been a failure that compromised my combat power in the Immortal Realm. Beside the dike boundary, King Xian couldn't help but sigh. Although the Immortal Kings were beside the dike boundary, they were very aware of everything that happened at the 2 realms pass. Before Gzi and others arrived at the 2 realms pass, even there is an Immortal King who wants to temporarily stop the battle between the 2 realms. After all, the Immortal Territory side was defeated so miserably in the early stage. There is no hope of tempering oneself, but it is constantly damaging the morale of the Immortal Territory side. But thanks to the appearance of Gzi and others, everything was saved. The purpose of King Xian and others was successfully implemented. The battle between the 2 realms can naturally continue. And all of this, they are all inseparable from the contributions of Gzi and others. When I have time, I really want to go to the lower world to see what a magical world it is that can produce so many talented people one after another. A strange color flashed in the eyes of the ancient king. He was really curious. What kind of world is the lower world? The ruthless emperor, the Wuxi emperor, the Yetiandi. And the current Jitsi Yelingxiu Yunruo Queen 11 Jiang and others. Even looking at the entire Immortal Realm, they are all unparalleled existences. And the lower realm, logically speaking, should only be one of the affiliated realms of the Immortal Realm. Such a strange scene is simply unimaginable. Please subscribe and customize. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 400. Now our realm has reached no further level. No matter how hard we work, we will still be in the realm of the Immortal King. The ancient king shook his head. After tens of thousands of years of cultivation of the immortal emperor's soul in the black rotten wooden box, his realm and combat power have completely reached the pinnacle of the immortal king's realm, and there is no way forward. If you want to break through again, only by breaking the blockade of all heavens and realms can we achieve the quasi-immortal emperor realm. And even for King Xian and others, it is of little significance to continue to understand. Without opening the quasi-immortal emperor realm, there is no way achieve a higher realm. With the combat power of the immortal king realm, no matter how hard you grind, it is just in vain. I can feel that they are coming back soon. The black rotten wooden box glowed slightly, and the immortal emperor's soul inside said in a deep voice. Are you saying that the ruthless fellow Taoist is coming back? The ancient king said slightly in his heart. In the past tens of thousands of years, although they have been beside the dam boundary, they have always been concerned about the whereabouts of the ruthless emperor. After all, whether the subsequent plans can go smoothly depends entirely on the ruthless emperor. Whether it is successful and the purpose is achieved. Not just her, but others too. The immortal emperor's soul in the black rotten wooden box sighed. In just tens of thousands of years, he has actually reached the quasi-immortal emperor realm. It's not simple, It's not simple. Quasi-immortal Emperor realm. Listening to the sigh of the immortal Emperor's soul in the black rotten wooden box, King Xian couldn't help but have an incredible thought in his heart, and couldn't help but blurt out. Senior, are you saying that the ruthless Taoist friend has become a quasi-immortal emperor? King Xian felt unbelievable. How long has it been since then? Has a ruthless man become a quasi-immortal emperor? Just when King Xian was about to ask for an explanation, above the boundless sea of boundaries, he suddenly saw three rays of light like the sun. The figures came from the end of the boundary sea. Those three figures are like dragons and Tao, exuding a brilliant and boundless aura. One has a chaos bell on his head, one has a nine-color fairy cauldron under his feet, and one is dressed in white as snow, with black hair like a waterfall. It is none other than Emperor Wuxi, Emperor Yetian, and Emperor Wuren. He is a ruthless fellow Taoist. King Xian exclaimed, and he could tell at a glance the identity of the woman in the middle, who was none other than Emperor Henren. And the other two people standing next to Emperor Henren were also familiar to King Xian. After all, in Emperor Henren, before crossing the sea, he had just seen the ancient history picture reflected by the Deluo sword embryo. The great Emperor Wuxi, Emperor Yetian. King Xian was shocked and lost his voice. The ruthless Taoist friend really found Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Yetian back. Seeing this scene, King Mo couldn't help clenching his fists slightly, with a touch of excitement in his eyes. After all, in that ancient picture, they had seen that Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Yetian had become immortal kings. The realm above. It is very likely that he has achieved the legendary quasi-immortal emperor. Quasi-immortal emperor. A realm that many immortal kings in the immortal realm have dreamed of but cannot achieve. But now it has been proved by two geniuses from the lower world who came up from behind. Not only the two of them, the ruthless Taoist friend also seems to have become a quasi-immortal emperor. The ancient king couldn't help being slightly shocked and lost his voice. His cultivation level is the highest among all the immortal kings present. Therefore, it is also easier to see the essence of the three figures coming from the end of the sea. Except for the Emperor Wuxi and in addition to Emperor Yetian, the ancient king was shocked to find that even the aura of the ruthless emperor was already above the peak of the immortal king. Combined with the words of the immortal emperor's soul in the black rotten wooden box, it is very likely that even ruthless emperor human Taoist friends have also achieved the realm of quasi-immortal emperors. Three quasi-immortal emperors. Even with the determination and mentality of the immortal kings present, their hearts can't help but pounding. For the immortal realm, this is simply a dream. Generally speaking, great news. The fairyland side has added three quasi-immortal emperors in combat power. What does this mean? It means that the comparison of combat power between the fairyland side and the dark realm will undergo earth-shaking changes. In terms of high-end combat power comparison, the dark territory side has always had the advantage. But now, after the return of the ruthless emperor and others, this combat power comparison has undoubtedly quietly changed. As for the dark territory side, even if the immortal king realm, no matter how many powerful people there are, but on the surface, there is no quasi-immortal emperor after all. On the side of the immortal realm, there are three more quasi-immortal emperors. What is the concept of three quasi-immortal emperors? Each quasi-immortal emperor, when facing the existence of the immortal king realm, the advantages are overwhelming. From the immortal king to the quasi-immortal emperor, it is a qualitative leap. No matter how many existences are at the peak of the immortal king realm, it is impossible for one to be the same. The opponent of the quasi-immortal emperor. In other words, even the presence of the three of them, the ruthless emperor, the Wuxi emperor, and the Yetian emperor, are enough to level the entire dark realm. Fairyland, there is hope. King Xian took a deep breath and suppressed the surprise in his heart. A moment later, Emperor Yetian, Emperor Wuxi, and Emperor Wuren, who came across the sea, finally crossed the distance of the endless sea and successfully arrived at the embankment realm. I met 3 fellow Taoists. The immortal kings of the immortal realm, headed by the ancient king, hurriedly bowed to Emperor Yetian and the others, without any trace of worry or resentment on their faces. In the process of cultivation, those who have mastered are respected. Although Emperor Yetian and others are not as old as compared with the immortal kings present, they are almost negligible. But now their cultivation has broken through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm, surpassing all the powerful immortal kings present. Therefore, ancient King Xian and others naturally have to deal with its courtesy and strength are the real passport that determines everything in this world. Fellow Taoists, there is no need to be polite. Emperor Yetian and Emperor Wuxi waved their hands humbly. I wonder if fellow Taoist ruthless man has gained anything else from his trip to the world sea besides finding 2 fellow Taoists. The ancient king couldn't help asking. Harvest. The ruthless emperor couldn't help but ponder for a moment. Killing the 2 dark quasi-immortal emperors at the end of the boundary sea, is this considered a gain? The ruthless emperor's voice was very calm and understated, as if he was telling a simple matter. Oh, killed 2 dark quasi-immortal emperors. The ancient king nodded, but sudden lithe color is stiff. Killed 2 quasi-immortal emperors. The ruthless emperor's tone just now was too plain. So even the ancient king didn't pay attention to it for a moment. But when he really thought about the meaning of the words, he couldn't help but his body shook wildly. What did he just hear? What the ruthless emperor said was that he killed 2 quasi-immortal emperors. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 401. The tone of what the ruthless emperor said was too plain. It was so dull that ancient King Xian and others did not react immediately, thinking that the ruthless emperor did not gain anything too important. However, when they truly understood what those words meant, no matter which immortal king they were, their bodies could not help but tremble wildly, and there was a look of disbelief on their faces. What did they hear? The ruthless emperor and others killed the 2 quasi-immortal emperors at the end of the boundary sea? Quasi-immortal emperor. If others said this, the ancient king would definitely not believe it. However, these words came from the ruthless emperor who had already achieved the quasi-immortal emperor realm, plus the Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Yetian beside her. So, he couldn't help but not believe it. Moreover, in the past tens of thousands of years, there were indeed sky-high fluctuations coming from the far end of the sea. Although I don't know the specific place where the fluctuation came from, I guess it was caused by the struggle between the existences in the quasi-immortal emperor realm. However, what King Xian and others never expected was the place where the fluctuations came from was actually related to the ruthless emperor and others. Moreover, it turned out to be a battle to kill 2 quasi-immortal emperors. Killing 2 dark quasi-immortal emperors sounds really like a dream. Quasi-immortal emperor. All the immortal kings of the immortal realm smiled bitterly. For them now, the quasi-immortal emperor realm is something they have dreamed of for a long time and want to achieve. But who would have thought that even the ruthless emperor would be able to kill the quasi-immortal emperor now? Thinking back to tens of thousands of years ago, when the ruthless emperor first arrived in the fairyland, he only had the cultivation level of the true fairyland. The immortal kings in the fairyland only felt like they were in a dream. Killing 2 dark quasi-immortal emperors is not the biggest gain. The biggest gain is that after killing them, the seats of 2 quasi-immortal emperors were freed up in the ultimate ancient land at the end of the boundary sea. If there are immortal King Taoist friends in the immortal realm who are on the verge of reaching the immortal King's Peak and are about to achieve the quasi-immortal emperor realm, they can go to the ultimate ancient place to look for opportunities for breakthrough. The ruthless emperor said calmly. For her, the Wuxi Emperor Yetiandi and others, killing the 2 dark quasi-immortal emperors is indeed not a gain. But for the immortal kings in the immortal realm, but it is rare good news. After all, The ultimate ancient land is the only place in the world that is not affected by the blockade of heaven and earth. There are no blockades and restrictions to achieve the limit of the immortal king. Instead, it is possible to break through the realm of immortal emperor. In the past, Emperor Hong and Emperor Yu were able to break through to the realm of quasi-immortal emperor because they found that treasure land. But now, Emperor Hong and Emperor Yu have fallen, and the positions they occupied have naturally been vacated in this way. After the two dark quasi-immortal emperors fall, there will naturally be two powerful immortal kings who can fill the gap and achieve the quasi-immortal emperor realm. The ultimate ancient land, is there no blockade of the way of heaven and earth? After hearing the ruthless emperor's narration, the ancient king couldn't help but his eyes lit up and his heart was pounding. At his level, there were very few things that could make his heart slightly agitated. But now, the words of the ruthless emperor still made his heart flutter and he was extremely moved. That ultimate ancient land was the only place that was not affected by the war in the past. Its rules were intact and had not been dismantled by the power of darkness. Yetiandi explained. However, because the ultimate ancient land is not the entire universe, the number of people who can become quasi-immortal emperors is limited. Only two immortal kings are allowed to achieve the realm of quasi-immortal emperors. If two fellow Taoists attain the quasi-immortal emperor realm one after another, all the paths will be filled up, and those who come after will have no chance of attaining the path. So that's it? King Xian took a deep breath, and a look of regret appeared on his face. I was still thinking just now, if the rules of Wandao were perfect there, wouldn't it be possible to achieve the realm of the great Luo immortal emperor? But now it seems that even the number of quasi-immortal emperors cannot hold a few. I am afraid that it is impossible to become an immortal emperor there. Indeed so. Yetiandi nodded and confirmed. How vast are the resources required to achieve the existence of an immortal emperor? At the end of the world sea, even if you try your best, you can only allow 5 people to achieve the quasi-immortal emperor realm. And a true Deluo immortal emperor, its power is far beyond the comparison of the 5 quasi-immortal emperors. The resources and luck it requires are endless. It is to unite all the heavens and worlds into one and integrate them to perfection. In a perfect state, he can only withstand 2 or 3 more Deluo immortal emperors at most. But now, there is only the ultimate ancient land, which is naturally far less than that. However, even so, the news brought by the ruthless emperor is still this is rare good news. After all, the great Luo immortal emperor is still a little far away from the current immortal kings in the immortal realm. But the quasi-immortal emperor is right next to him and has the best chance of achieving success. Especially for someone as close as the ancient king. For the immortal king who is at the pinnacle of the immortal realm and has no way to enter the immortal realm, it is even more precious and supreme creation. This news brought by fellow Taoist is really great news. The ancient king couldn't help but sigh. He is now worried about his future path. If he can't successfully take back the realm of darkness and unify the two realms of the heavenly hearts, doesn't it mean that he will be locked in the world forever? The immortal king is at the top of his game and cannot survive. For a strong man who is dedicated to seeking the Tao, this is simply terrible news. But now, the ruthless Taoist friend has brought such good news. Even if the dark realm has not returned, you can still go to the ultimate ancient place to find the opportunity to break through the quasi-immortal emperor. Without further ado, if you are a fellow Taoist who feels that you are expected to achieve the quasi-immortal emperor realm, you should start your journey as soon as possible. Our weapons will escort you safely to the ultimate ancient place. Emperor Yetian smiled. Then he threw the 9-color immortal cauldron in his hand and floated in front of the ancient king. Seeing this, Emperor Wuxi also threw the chaos above his head and also threw it in front of the ancient king and others. Immortal king with cultivation at the peak of the realm, crossing the sea was still a bit dangerous and might encounter unexpected events. However, with the weapons of Emperor Yetian and Emperor Wuxi protecting each other, the ancient king and others were able to reach the ultimate ancient place smoothly, without any interruptions on the way. Will encounter any danger. Please subscribe. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 402. Then I would like to thank the two fellow Taoists for their help. The ancient king said, slightly excited. He was still hesitating just now. The Sea of 10,000 Realms must be full of dangers. What if something unexpected happens on this trip and he fails to reach the ultimate ancient land smoothly? Unexpectedly, the next moment Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Yetian gave them the guarantee of a safe trip. With two quasi-immortal emperor weapons guarding them, they expected that they would reach the ultimate ancient land safely. Next, it would naturally depend on whether their destiny can be achieved. The legendary quasi-immortal emperor's position. Fellow Taoist Master Pan Wang, fellow Taoist Master Mo Wang, please come with me on this trip. The ancient king glanced at the immortal kings present and said. Among the immortal kings in the immortal realm, his current cultivation level is the highest, and he is also the most promising to achieve the quasi-immortal emperor realm. In addition, Mo Wang and Pan Wang. Although King Mo and Pan Wang are still a little far behind the peak of the immortal king. But it is difficult to say whether the two of them can gain some opportunities during this trip and achieve the peak of the immortal king. In this way, there will naturally be a breakthrough to opportunities for the quasi-immortal emperor realm. In this case, we will go together with our Taoist friends from the ancient king. King Mo and King Pan looked at each other and did not refuse. They knew that this was not the time to refuse. At this moment when the safety of all realms is at stake, improving the combat power of the immortal domain is the most important. As for who can, so what if you become a quasi-immortal emperor? If you can't clear all obstacles and unify all the heavens and worlds before the final moment comes, it will be useless to become a quasi-immortal emperor. In this case, all fellow Taoists, let's go to the ultimate ancient land together. The heaven and earth there are perfect and perfect. Even if you cannot become a quasi-immortal emperor, it will be of great benefit to your practice. Here in the immortal realm, with the three of us taking care of you, you will be fine. The ruthless emperor thought for a moment and said. Since there is such an opportunity, why not go together with all the immortal kings in the immortal realm? Anyway, she and Emperor Yetian Wuxi have all returned. Even if all the immortal kings leave, this immortal realm, the three even people can protect and live in it. If this is the case, then just follow what the ruthless fellow Taoist said. The remaining immortal kings did not refuse and agreed one after another. Regarding the safety of the immortal realm after they left, everyone was very relieved. There are three quasi-immortal emperors, Emperor Wuxi, and Emperor Yetian. With existence in charge, the immortal realm will only be safer than when they were there. Then the time limit is 50,000 years. 50,000 years have passed. Regardless of whether you have achieved the quasi-immortal emperor realm or not, all fellow Taoists will come back. The ruthless emperor continued. Naturally so. Xian Wang and others looked stern and responded one after another. They knew that after 50,000 years, it would probably be the final decisive battle between the immortal realm and the dark realm. By then, no matter whether they could break through the quasi-immortal emperor or not, realm, they will naturally come back to participate in the final battle. Fellow Taoists, I look forward to the day when I can see you again. Beside the embankment boundary, the ruthless emperor waved goodbye to the immortal kings of the immortal realm and watched them leave. You too, during these 50,000 years, we will protect the peace of the immortal realm. Seeing the immortal kings of the immortal realm being escorted by two quasi-immortal emperor weapons to the depths of the boundary sea, Emperor Wuxi said to Emperor Wuxi and Emperor Yetian. This is natural. Yetian nodded and said. In fact, even now, with our strength, we are enough to enter the realm of darkness. However, the dark power is evil after all, so there is no harm in making more preparations. In this case, it is better to wait for another 50,000 years. The power of the three quasi-immortal emperors has indeed improved by more than one level compared to the previous immortal kings in the immortal domain. At least on the bright side, there is no quasi-immortal emperor in the dark realm. Also, in other words, the three of them, Yetiendi, are enough to sweep across the entire dark realm without the help of others. However, after all, the dark realm has existed for endless years, and I don't know what kind of background or backhand there may be, so be careful. And there is not much wrong with it. Deep in the realm of darkness, within the territory of a true immortal, a fat man wearing a Ningong Tuanyun Taoist robe, with all kinds of powerful true immortal magic weapons hung on his body, and with a glowing red face, was sneaking towards the deepest part of the true immortal territory. This person was Duan Yunzheng, who was thrown into the dark realm by Qin Mu. It has been tens of thousands of years since Duan Yunzheng came to the realm of darkness. Compare the initial resistance and reluctance. Today, Duan Yunzheng is living like a fish in water in the realm of darkness. In his words, what a wonderful word. During these tens of thousands of years, his footprints almost covered half of the dark territory. The inheritances of all the powerful and dark places were almost visited by him. In tens of thousands of years, he has uncovered countless ancient tombs of powerful dark inheritance. If he were placed in the lower realm, with his behavior like this, he would have become a street rat, and everyone would shout and beat him. But in the realm of darkness, he had no such concern at all. Anyway, this dark realm is the enemy of the fairy realm. His behavior is obviously helping the immortal realm, which is a very just behavior. In this way, he naturally acts without scruples and can sneak into various ancient heritage sites without any scruples, without caring about the other party's identity. They are all enemies anyway. Does identity matter? If his identity is more important, it means he can steal more treasures. Infinite Heavenly Lord, it's so cool. Duan Yunshen's chubby face, his eyes almost narrowed into a slit. Ever since he engaged in the great archaeological undertaking, he has never been as happy as he is now. When he was in the lower world, although he was also taking advantage of the opportunity of archaeology, they caused trouble to all the ancient races. But that time was too short after all. In less than a few hundred years, the lower world was turned upside down. With the advent of a human race legend, the human race rose up and stood tall again. The top of the universe. And with the enlightenment of Gzi and others, he no longer has the chance to steal the tombs of all races. And now, he has stayed in this dark realm for tens of thousands of years. Tens of thousands years. As soon as he thinks of his harvest in these tens of thousands of years, Duan Yunzheng cannot suppress his smile at all. That feeling is so refreshing.